Welcome to this week's episode of Humans in 5.
Hey, why the long face?
What do you mean?
Why do you look so sad?
What makes you think I look sad?
Well, your face. But then again, is someone's facial expression, even one as powerful as this, a good indicator of someone's feelings? Can we really use facial expressions to judge how someone's feeling?
This is actually an important question for many social science researchers. Since the late 1800s, scientists have been interested in whether or not all humans have the same kinds of emotions, such as happiness, fear, anger, disgust, and whether or not we express these emotions in a similar way.
Research into what we feel and how we show it continued for a century. Then, in the 1960s, Paul Ekman of the University of California in San Francisco explored how several different human cultures, including Westerners and groups from Papua New Guinea, interpreted facial expressions.
Ekman found that these diverse groups largely agreed on which facial expressions corresponded to certain emotions. For example, happiness was largely connected with smiling, and anger with a frown. These results suggested that our facial expressions may represent an innate, automatic, biologically programmed response to how we feel, with all humans sharing these deep-seated responses.
However, new research may be shaking up Ekman's earlier work. Carlos Crivelli and Sergio Dorillo revisited the idea of universal facial expressions using more modern research tools. They travelled to the Trobriand Islands near Papua New Guinea to live with local groups who have been quite isolated into our modern age.
Crivelli and Girillo took their time and learned all about the local cultures and languages of the Trobriand Islanders. Once they were a part of the group, they asked young people between the ages of 9 to 15 to link certain facial expressions to an emotion from a list. The advantage of their study was that since they spoke the language, they didn't have to rely on translators to clarify the Trobrianders' intentions.
They could talk amongst themselves and learn a bit more about how and why the facial expressions were matched to different emotions. When they did, they found that the youngsters matched smiling with happiness without fail, but the other expressions, ones you or I might associate with anger, fear, disgust, or hunger, didn't match up to their Western expectations.
For example, the facial expression we might associate with fear was instead associated with anger. They confirmed their results by redoing the study in reverse, with a different group of young people. They asked which face looked like it was ready to start a fight, and people continued to identify the fearful face.
The results of this study, and other similar work by Lisa Feldman Barrett and Maria Gendron, who conducted similar studies amongst the Himba of Namibia, indicate that facial expressions might actually be a lot more context and culturally specific than we once thought.
These groundbreaking results challenge the old wisdom on the universal nature of human emotions and expressions, but why else are these results cool and important to us 21st century humans?
A new technology that's been growing over the past few years is facial recognition technology. Aside from recognizing our faces, this software could be trained to recognize our emotions as well.
But if emotions are context-specific, that could throw a huge curveball to the developers working on this neat software. They'll have to keep their eyes peeled on the latest information from the social sciences to make sure their gadgets can tell a frown from anger.
So the next time you find yourself puzzling over what someone's facial expression might be telling you, don't jump to too many conclusions. And remember that they're not two-faced, but that their expression might just mean something different to them.
Well, these smiling faces will see you next time on Humans in 5.
See you then.